Jackson Collier joining us right here. I think of Mike Neighbors when I think of music trivia a lot, and certainly ranking bands and songs and all of that kind of stuff. Jackson's the same kind of guy. In fact, on his Twitter page, on his bio, says he could beat you at music trivia. So it's a pretty bold thing to say.
That is pretty bold.
So Jackson, I guess I can put you on the spot with a quick non-basketball thing here before we get into the reason you're here. Earlier, halftime homework for Drew is I'm assigning him to come up with his 5 best television theme show songs from the 1970s. Do you have one that stands apart from the others? This is music, but it's not necessarily, the kind of music that I'm not sure if you were getting on. Do you do TV theme shows too?
Man, so I do love a good old TV theme shows or a show theme song, especially from the 90s. I guess 90s is more my forte into sitcom theme songs and all that. But I will say, what is it? Is it Archie Bunker? What show is that? Is that All in the Family?
All in the Family, that's right.
I love that theme. I think that's 70s, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And we came in here.
Okay, I'll go with that one then.
Well, we went into this segment with the Jeffersons, and of course, he first was on All in the Family, so it all comes down to that. There you go. All right, basketball now. What does Arkansas get in Nick Smith Jr.? Simple question. I've never seen him play before. I can only go by what I read. What kind of a player is Nick Smith?
Straight up, probably the most gifted offensive basketball player I've ever seen at the high school level. He is one of those guys. He can score at all 3 levels. You hear Coach Muss talk about 3-level scores all the time. He can hit the 3. He's got a very elite mid-range game. Very strong, taking it to the rim, can finish through contact. Just very dynamic in everything he can do offensively. Really good ball handler, probably at the college level. I will say he'll be like a secondary ball handler type. But, just incredible basketball knowledge offensively, too, to go along with all of that. Great footwork. Can create his own shot, can score in any number of ways. So really, looking at his class in the 2022 class, and really just in general, one of the most gifted offensive players I've ever seen at the high school level. And then you add to that with really good length and a willingness to play defense. He's still pretty young, so he's got a lot of room to grow his physique and that sort of thing. My one knock on him right now is kind of his size, but again, that's nothing. That's not his fault. That's just his age at this point. But once he gets into a college strength and conditioning program and all that sort of stuff, he'll get a little bulk built on him, and he'll still be a legit defender at the next level because he's got all the speed, the instincts, the IQ, and the drive to play good defense too. He's more aggressive offensively, taking it to the rim. Sometimes he can shy away from contact, but he is willing to box out and try to grab some rebounds. But again, once he gets some more size on him, I'm sure he'll be more willing to engage in those battles with some bigs.
So, he's a scorer first and foremost, and it sounds like he's the kind of player that when he gets to Arkansas, he's a featured scorer, and I know Moses was too, but the offense wasn't just built around Moses Moody because he was a kind of a do-everything player. Even coming in as a freshman, we always commented on how he just seemed to play older than his age, and that even extended into high school too. But with Smith, it really sounds to me like the way you're describing him is he comes to campus, he is the featured scorer when he gets there. But this is also a great, this class that Muss has for 2022, does Smith's ability to score stand out even amongst them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's not a knock on any of the other guys. Every single player that Eric Musselman has landed in this class and since he's been at Arkansas has been in the Rivals 150. So every single player that Musselman has signed or gotten a commitment from is a top-rated player. So it's not a knock on their ability at all, but there's just a level and an ability that Nick Smith has and a level that he's at that just really does stand out compared to everybody else.
And obviously, this being Nick Smith being another high-quality recruit that Eric Musselman has brought in and has just just taken not only the transfer portal but now recruiting by storm. Is there a cooler coach in all of college basketball?
No, I mean that's one of the easiest questions you can throw at me. I mean, and I'm honestly saying this and trying to be as completely non-biased as possible. I mean, he's sitting there posting videos coming out of a private jet, talking about landing a commitment from a 5-star. He's got the whole staff jumping into pools and stuff at night, fully clothed, celebrating this. I mean, it's not just a coolness factor, but it's just an understanding factor, understanding the landscape, how to use social media. And you look at all of the Twitter engagements by head coaches and by programs. Arkansas as a program is constantly at the top, and Coach Muss has been number one, I think, for 3 of the last 4 months, I think, on most engagements by college basketball head coaches. It's just he's popular, he's cool, and he understands how social media works and how important it is.
Yeah, he really does. And I mean, the things that he's done with Barstool, that's really popular with the young folks and the kids nowadays. So he's really has, like you said, learned how to instead of like a lot of coaches see social media and all the outside noise as a threat, he's really learned and thrived at using it as a weapon. So great year last year, Elite Eight finish. What is a realistic expectation? I know we're just now not on the last day of September, but is it realistic to think that the floor for this team is to at least repeat an Elite Eight? Because that's hard to do. Just getting to the second week in a tournament, that's a lot to put on a team.
Yeah, it is a lot to put on a team, and especially expectation-wise. So I'll probably say that the floor is another second round or Sweet 16 appearance, just because once you get past the first round, I mean, you're even in the first round. I mean, your matchups and everything, it's all a crapshoot. You could go against a really low-seeded team who snuck into the tournament by winning 8 of their last 10 games and has a bunch of momentum, and they're on a warpath. You can also go up against a mid-major school who just has a good matchup for your scheme. I mean, you just never know what matchup you're going to get, what draw you're going to get, any other upsets that might go along, Last year, Arkansas was the beneficiary of a couple of upsets in the tournament. That's not to say Arkansas would not have beaten Ohio State or Florida or whoever else, or Virginia Tech, whoever else was in their bracket, had Oral Roberts not won and all that sort of stuff. But that's just the kind of stuff that shakes out in a tournament. I will say the roster this year is definitely more talented and better than last year's roster. So the potential is there for a Final Four run, regardless of tournament matchups, anything like that. But because of the nature of the tournament itself, I'll probably say floor is second round Sweet 16.
It's still a great floor.
Well, and
absolutely, especially after program missed the Sweet 16 for 25 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had so many, players that were a major part of that team last year that end up, moving on to the next level. And really for the last 2 years, that's been the case. So what we didn't know would happen last year, but what did happen was just the way that that team meshed. They bought into their roles and they played their butts off for each other and for their coach. And I think that was obvious once you got into late January, middle of February, that's the way they were playing. You don't know what this, that's what you got to hope happens again. That this group of players, which includes guys that are coming in from other programs again, that are looking to get to, someplace they've never been before, like a Stanley Amude, like a Chris Likes, like a Trey Wade. Hopefully he's able to come back from this injury. So, if there's a moment where it looks like this team this year is so well meshed the way that last year was, to me, that says so much about this coach's ability and this coaching staff's ability to get groups of different players to buy in year after year. And again, that isn't as easy as it sounds.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head. The most important part of Musselman's whole system and recruiting transfers and recruiting high school talent is at some point you have to have all of that talent mesh. Last year I think there were 10 new players on the roster, and they make an Elite Eight. That's just an insane level of getting players to play together, of talent meshing, of compatibility with the roster, and all that sort of stuff. And it does stem directly from his experience in the G League. I'm not even going to try to say that stems from his NBA experience, because he's talked a lot about it stemming from his G League experience and I think the CBA experience, where you get guys who are there for a week and then they get called up or they get hurt, and your roster is constantly fluctuating. You just got to kind of plug and play and see what happens. But that's a much quicker kind of turnaround on trying to get guys inserted in the lineups when you have a roster of 15 and then 2 of your starters get called up and then a couple players from the NBA get called down, and you're constantly trying to find the sweet spot of who to play, how to play them, all that sort of stuff. Having a new roster of 10 people in a kind of static roster for one season, it gives you the time to, I guess, play around with it and build that chemistry a little bit more. But it's the same premise. He's kind of an expert, and he has a bunch of experience in honing chemistry and finding chemistry on a quick turnaround.
And that experience has definitely shown through his time here at the University of Arkansas. Phil brought up the injury to Trey Wade, and there are some other injuries currently on this team. Are there any of them that you might be a little weary of or you're cautious about possibly affecting the start of the season?
I honestly wouldn't really be too worried at this point, especially the way that Musselman talked about him in the press conference. Just a little bit of nagging thing here and there with Jalen and with KK and Trey Wade. I think Tony went down at the first practice, but I think his injury too is just something fairly minor. But aside from that, no, I really don't think it's anything to be concerned about, especially at the start of the season. Let them heal up. Practice just started, the full practice and all that sort of stuff just got started, so not too worried about it.
Jackson, you got a feeling on Jordan Walsh, kid from Branson? I know that there's one scholarship left. He might fit pretty well. What's your feeling on him?
I think at this point there's reason for optimism from Hog fans. There was a point over the summer when he was playing really well at Peach Jam that I thought that he might be committing any day to Arkansas, but then he was doing so well, he kept getting more offers and scheduling more visits, and so I never really thought that meant Arkansas was out of the picture. I just thought it might delay his announcement. So he put on his Instagram story a few weeks ago, he's probably going to announce around mid to late October. I think he still has a visit to Kansas, I think, next weekend, but or maybe the weekend after next. But either way, I think there is reason for optimism there.
Jackson, we'll leave it there. Appreciate you hopping on with us. Do great work over there at HawgBeat and with the JC Hoops podcast, and let's do it again when we get closer to the season.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
You got it.
Appreciate it, Jackson.
Appreciate you. This is Jackson Collier.
We're back and better than ever. All eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back for another football season. As always, BetOnline is your #1 spot for all the pro and college football action this season. With the new updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, BetOnline continues to be the #1 source for everything football. Head to your website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Don't forget to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV. From football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of these amazing offers for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.